Bienvenue. Welcome to the Shay Parlay Podcast. Today I have, oh man, how do I state this? What's more Jersey than being at a diner at 2 a.m., eating Taylor ham, listening to Bruce Springsteen? I know we're international with it as well, but even though they call him Fade, the energy levels are high. Even though he is the future, he is present with success. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest pioneers in Jersey club music, I have the privilege to be with DJ Fade, the future.
Wow.
It's time. It's time.
Okay.
It's time.
He surprised me with that one.
Let's go.
It's time.
Hey,
Killer.
It's time.
I usually hit him with just like an applause.
Okay.
But it's gotta be big.
Oh, it's the energy.
Hey, look.
I know you produce this.
Let me explain who I'm an audience. I put nothing less but my all in it.
Hey.
That water you got, watch me dive in it. Ooh, I fuck with the real ones, no charlatans.
It's time.
This is the wave that I started in.
It's time.
Stone, give my phone. Let's go live so they can watch his bone. Then she fast that, like, let me get back, right. This my swag, like, ass fat, like. Watch me bagpipe, pipe. Beat that silly.
It's the blueberries for me.
Like this, I'm on your block like this. Feel it when I go to me.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Wow.
Welcome.
Thank you. That was a hell of an introduction.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Like I
Appreciate
said,
you, man. Thank you for having me, man.
Man, my pleasure. Like, my pleasure, to be honest. Like, I know I've been waiting for this moment. First of all, I got to tell the public how we met. Basically, I knew of Fade, I guess, more from a fan standpoint. I got to say that. Like,
Wow.
I knew Fade from, like, his Jersey club remixes. I knew of him through our good friend, DJ Jules. And
Shout out to Jules.
Shout out to Jules. But we met on a line at Whole Foods.
Wait, what'd you say?
We met on a line at Whole Foods before Jules' wedding. Remember? Because you were like,
That's right.
you were like, that's why I think it's 360. We got the blueberries, we got the alkaline water, and I was like, you know what's funny is like now I understand why. And I was like, yo, you was like, oh, nice Ricks.
Oh, yeah, you had the...
Yeah, and I was like, I appreciate it, brother. But I was like, you look mad familiar. And I was like, oh, it's because you're always around Jules. And then we were going to the wedding a week later in DR.
That's crazy.
I know.
I forgot about that.
Full circle.
And
So,
now we can interview. Wow, man.
yeah, man.
It's crazy.
It's so crazy. But I feel like universally, like there's always alignments. And I feel like this is one of them.
Absolutely.
So please intro yourself. I want to get to the roots of DJ Fade.
Please, that's...
The future. I want to know how you got your name because I always think that's a dope story in itself. And I also want to know like just a little bit of your roots, like what got you onto Jersey club in general versus anything else.
Got you.
Yeah.
So my real name is Brandon, for those who know, those that know.
Yes.
And my origins are from East Orange, New Jersey, born and raised. And I'm the only child.
Only child.
Yes, my father was actually born in Kingston, Jamaica.
Fire.
And actually came here around when he was like 7.
Okay.
My mother was born and raised here though. And so I'm Black Jamaican.
Dope.
Contrary to popular belief.
What do people usually think?
People
you are?
think I'm from Saudi. And
Yeah, like-
everything else but Black.
You look like
know?
you could be like Algerian, Moroccan.
I could be anything depending on how my outfit looks.
But you know
that's
what?
the beauty of who I am. And
I was
my
about
roots,
to say that, like, when you are culturally ambiguous, like it gives you freedom to play around the world, like because people can see themselves in you in a sense.
I understand.
Pause. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, I think that like the opportunities are more grand,
Right.
you know,
right.
like on a global level.
Yeah. Yes. It's like people can relate to you in some way.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's really like their own imagination, you know.
Absolutely.
I've always been in touch with my roots, you know, where I come from, and just the foundation of DJ Fade stems from Jersey club music.
Okay.
You know, I first discovered like house music
Okay.
Right. And then I was really around the growth of Jersey club music.
Yeah, yeah.
And once
Oh, those are calls. Hold on one second. I'm sorry about that.
yeah, so once I discovered Jersey club music, this infectious sound, the line dances and things like that, I said to myself, I have to get into this.
Absolutely.
And, first I was a DJ, the story of how I became a DJ actually stemmed from in the roller skating rink.
Really?
Yeah, so my mother took me to Umpire, which was a prolific skating rink in Brooklyn.
So,
a DJ by the name of DJ Big Bob.
Okay.
He was DJing, still around to this day.
wow.
My mom took me to the DJ booth, introduced me to Big Bob, and instantly said, "Oh, scratch on the vinyl records." And
People don't realize like that is so important in the youth's life. Like you let them touch a camera, you let them hit the turntables. It's like empowering, and I bet that moment stays with you.
That
for a long
moment
time.
changed my life because at first I was scared. I was like, I'm not touching this because I noticed people were skating and dancing to the music, and this person was in charge. And I didn't understand what a DJ was at the time. I just was very observant into what was going on. And instantly I said, no, I'm not doing it. But they kept encouraging me.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, why not? I scratched, and I saw people literally looking up at the booth, cheering me on. Now, I'm so young, like maybe 7 or 8 at this time.
But that's nice that you have that respect, understanding the power it held. Does that make sense?
Yeah. As a kid, you're very observant. You pay attention to everything. And I'm always in touch with my inner child.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people, gravitate towards me because they know I'm never too, I guess, mature.
Okay.
Or like, how when you're an adult,
Yeah.
you treat things differently.
Yeah, I feel like as we grow up, like there's these lies in our head that start coming in, and it's whether you choose to believe them or not. Like there's that innocence of like when you're a child, it's just like the truth. You know who's good, who's bad. You like follow your instinct on a different level.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you can keep that 1% of innocence within your life in a good degree, you approach situations differently because it's like that excitement stays there rather than like, say like you go through the industry. Music industry's tough as hell, so you get jaded. There's so many times you can get jaded.
All the time, y'all.
You know what I'm saying? So it's nice that you have that.
Are you gonna chop this or it's
yeah.
live?
No, it's being chopped. It's gonna be chopped.
Okay, so this is bothering me. Am I in the frame? Is that right, or am I supposed to like be?
Yeah,
the middle?
you can come a little bit towards the middle. You're fine though.
Okay, I just wanted to say that early on.
Yeah. You're good.
There's certain things you can correct in post, and there's certain things you can't. So
no, I appreciate
with me, we're gonna get into that too.
Yeah.
Because we got a lot to talk about.
We have so much.
We have so much.
Honestly, I mean, for all you watching, I've sincerely been looking forward to this interview because ever since I met Fade, again, that first inclination was like, okay, Fade likes fashion. Fade understands his fashion. You can clearly see it by this interview.
See it?
He'd even know how to. He is bringing out the essence of these palms in the background, So, you do video as well. We're gonna get into it. DJing music. So I feel like same thing with me. I started with my music roots as Benetton. And then
Jules was telling me.
Yeah. That's how Jules was our official DJ for shows and everything else like that.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So we did shows like La Marina before it closed down. We opened up for Ja Rule back in the day.
Wow.
Like within Jersey, we started as Dreamcatchers. Then it was like Benetton. So a lot of even the old school hip hop heads like knew us. We'll get into that. But it was just like one of those things where hip hop was part of my roots.
Yeah.
That's why I love your story. Wow. You know what I'm saying? That's why I really want to delve.
Yeah, man. Let's do it. Ask me anything, man.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're there. You're on the DJ set. This projected you into what is your career and what you're known for now.
Right.
Which is, it seems like your parents gave you support as an artist, which is big, especially for Jamaican parents.
Yeah.
You know, Caribbean parents are usually strict with certain things or they're cool as hell. And it seems like you were fortunate enough to have that. So tell me more as well. Again, how did you come across a name? Like, were you DJing throughout elementary school, high school? Like, is this like a constant thing, or you just, you know, came into it more into your teenage years?
So back to this time at Umpire, when I saw that the crowd reacted to me scratching on the vinyl, I looked up at my mom and I said, "Look, Ma, they love it." Like, I was filled with excitement that music, this thing called music, can bring such emotion to people that I don't even know.
Absolutely.
I'm touching the lives of people in that point in time, in that moment. And you don't know what they're going on mentally, physically. They could be dealing with a death. But the time that they are there, they are present in that moment. And the DJ can make or break any type of event. Because DJs aren't only just for parties and dancing. Like, the music sets the foundation for everything. You know, you have DJs for like mixers, for, you know, in the background, and, you know, now for apartment parties, you know, things like that. So music really heals. And I took heed of that as a, you know, when I was young, and begged my parents for years since then to buy some equipment for me. And, you know, my father was a DJ as well. He played a lot in New York.
What was his name?
His name was Kenny the Baby.
Kenny the Baby.
Yeah, he played some venues in Brooklyn, Manhattan.
Okay.
And
was he DJing across, like, did he like kind of, was more his groove like in Jamaican roots of reggae, or was it like?
So he specialized in like I guess you would say commercial disco, like Diana Ross.
Fire.
You know, that era of music. And he would play at a venue that the artist would come and perform there, and he would provide the sound.
I feel like every time I see you perform, when you're sharing your videos, I feel like you do have this Studio 54 energy where like it's full of life. Like, I don't see a lot of DJs come with that energy, and I think that was part of my intro, because I was like, Fade is never, you're approaching it like day one every time, I feel. So like I feel like that's naturally a gift, and it's hard to keep up with when you are playing a facade. So I feel like you being so true to your gift per se is like an incredible talent in itself.
Thank you, man. Y'all always was in touch with my emotions, and when it comes to me performing, you're literally seeing a person that is giving their all to every record being played, every time I pick up the mic and I command the crowd, the same way you saw how I did in DR, where I said, everybody, we got to clear these chairs, you know, because I want to connect with my audience as close as possible. And it's hard to perform when people are dancing super far, you know what I mean? So, but, you know, back to
it was hot as hell over there.
Oh yeah,
you were giving it your all. Like, people like were soaking through their like white linens. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, including me. I think I had a suit.
It was nuts. It was nuts.
It was crazy, man. But yeah.
So how did you get the name as well? Like, you know, like how did Fade the Future come about?
So I was in a group that was called the Exclusives.
Okay.
And my friend at the time had a DJ name, but I didn't.
Gotcha.
So in the midst of like brainstorming, mixing, I noticed that I like would always echo out or fade away the music with my transitions.
Fire.
So I was like, how about like DJ Fader or Fade Away, and just shorten it to Fade.
That's dope.
You know, I applied that minimal, you know, approach back then as a kid, and just stuck with me ever since. And this was around the era where Jersey Club was first being born. So a lot of the DJs back then, they'll have like AKA, you know, better known as the movie, the Building Shaker. So I stuck with the Future.
That's dope.
For me.
That's dope. And it's like I said, it's like it's still present to this day. Like, you being the future, you're always gonna be ahead of your time.
Exactly. Banks, he gets it. He gets it, y'all.
That's it. No, that's super dope. Now, did producing, it's funny when you I mentioned this a lot on the podcast already, when you go from photographer to director or DP, it's usually you have an understanding of composition, compression. When you go from DJ, I say it about Just Blaze all the time, when you are a DJ and then you become a producer, sonically you have an understanding and you're ahead of the game than a lot of people. So do you feel like you DJing firsthand really gave you a heads up on producing?
I think for me, my journey with producing is, so here's my story. I got into producing because there was a record that was playing on the radio on rotation. It was one of the first here's some Jersey Club facts. One of the first Jersey Club records to be on rotation, Hot 97 particularly, was Hit It to the Beat.
Dope.
With DJ Walla, Tim Dollar. I think Tim Dollar produced it. Dope. Now that record does not have a lot of elements in it.
No. Jersey Club's usually...
It's literally like percussion and vocals. Dun, 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 and a vocal. Hit it to the beat. Hit it to the beat. Hit it to the beat. It's a repetitive vocal. So I'm like, Hot 97, one of the biggest radio stations in the entire planet, is playing this record on rotation. I can do that.
Yeah.
So
What age were you at this point?
This was around like 09.
Okay.
So I don't know, do the math. I was young.
Yeah.
And I literally said to myself, I'm going to learn how to produce.
Yeah.
I want to make my own music, you know, because it just seems so easy.
For
you
sure.
know, eventually I wanted to do beats, production and stuff like that, but I didn't know. I mean, I still don't really know like chord structure or proper music theory.
Yeah.
My background was actually percussion. I actually took drums in school and, you know, beatboxing, playing the drums like on a table as a kid. So that was
sometimes not knowing the formal structure of all these things give you, again, more freedom to create. Like I know a lot of guys, they can play the sax, they can play the piano, this, that, and third. They know major chords, they know Arabic chords and all that. But it's like when they have to produce, they're so technical, it caps their flow. You know what I'm saying?
That too, yeah. I think for people that is a master at that, they still have to be around the creatives who hasn't acquired that knowledge yet. Because we find ways to be creative and target parts of our brain that you might not dig into if you did know.
True.
It sounds a little weird, but like,
no.
If you're in a session with proper musicians and someone who's like, let's say like a beat maker, and they just, you know, use their ear rather than like science, because music theory is really science. It's consists of like numbers. Okay, well, these numbers match because when you hit a note, it's a certain hertz, right? So when you put them all together, it sounds a particular way. And when you play like this, it sounds a little off. Well, that's because it's minor.
Do you feel like, I know I have it, do you feel like you have a synesthesia when creating music and basically...
I wouldn't say I have that.
Okay.
I would say that I'm just in tune with my emotions, and I know how to convey that into production.
I was gonna say, like, you're one of these guests that I feel like you're very present. I noticed that you respect your tempo, your body. Is that from the roots of coming from Jamaica, where, you know, we usually hear yard man, you know, hopefully I said that correctly. Like
yard
man, like, you know, you eat a lot of, like, you know, what is it? Yams and things from the earth and stuff like that.
Soursop.
Yeah, I know, like sea moss is big of your culture. So is that something like that helps your clarity and just being...
Well, in terms of diet, I spent a lot of time in Florida with my grandmother. She was born and raised in Jamaica. And she is like a self-proclaimed chef. So I would have, you know, ackee and saltfish, you know, Jamaican jerk chicken, like all the time when I was down there. Thick accent too. Like I don't have the accent, unfortunately. But, you know, those are my roots. And I'm in tune with my roots. However, I didn't get into the health game until college.
Nice.
And I wanted to transform my body. You know, I was very slim, slender, tall, you know, 6'4" guy in college. And I'm like, man, I gotta, you know, put some muscle mass on.
Yeah.
And I remember the orientation. I'm walking to the dorms and I see this guy doing handstands in front of the building.
Wow.
And I was like, what is this guy? He's in the gymnastics or something?
Super calisthenics.
So I never heard of the term calisthenic before. I played sports, like I played basketball, but I wasn't the weightlifting guy growing up. More like running and competitive.
They don't realize like when you're slim and tall, it's so hard to put on muscle. Like you could get ripped, you know,
easily.
But put on mass is like it's challenging. And it's like the only time I heard about calisthenics was actually during that era of like Confessions, because Usher said that he did calisthenics. And I was like, what the hell is that?
Wow.
Yeah, that's like the only
See
time
how music can educate you guys? Like,
exactly. Like I was like, yo, what does Usher do? He's like, oh, I do calisthenics. And like he said it in an interview or something. I was like, what's calisthenics? And then it was like using your own body weight.
Yeah.
Like
so
push-ups.
I remember talking to him and his body was tight. Like he was like, this is what I want to look like. And he educated me on the meaning of it and the background of it as well, because those that know the bartenders and the bar stars, there's a community of people that use their platform to uplift the community.
For sure.
You know, and I learned things, you know, like CAP, which is an acronym for character, attitude, and personality. And I applied that to myself because it was more than just building my physique to look good, you know, like for women. It was more of like, let me reach a certain level and help others the same way this man helped me.
That's dope.
You know what I mean? So
I feel like that's a side of the story a lot of people never hear, because we live in such a, you know, self-image driven
society.
Yeah, I don't even want to say like narcissistic, but it's kind of one of those things like a lot of people do it for the attention base and they're not doing it for the longevity, and I think, or the legacy. And I think when you
heavy on legacy,
you know, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I live for.
But that's the difference when you see someone reach certain levels like you do of success. I think it's because people who have strived for legacy can recognize that in others. It doesn't matter, you know, like it could be the same respect of why that DJ let you touch the turntables even at a young age. It was something within you that respected the power that's not here to manipulate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that's huge.
Definitely, man. Yeah. When it comes to legacy, I feel like that's why else are we here?
Exactly.
You know, you have kids because you want a
legacy,
you know? So anybody that watch my sets or listen to my interviews, I want them to create your legacy.
Where do you feel like your imprint, your legacy kind of started? Like, what was one of these first huge successes that you're like, oh my God, this is happening?
One of the first things that happened to me in my career that made me realize my legacy was really beginning was when I went to South by Southwest for the first time in Texas. For those who aren't familiar, South by Southwest is a yearly annual gathering of musicians, which is like a music utopia for anyone that hasn't been.
It's always been a large part of people's careers.
Yeah,
like you have to go through South by.
And this was around like 2015, 16. So this is the era of like when it was like you needed to go if you wanted to make it in the industry. And I remember meeting someone for the first time and it was like, oh, DJ Faye? Oh, I'm from like Sweden or something.
Crazy.
Like, I'm a big fan of your music. And I was like,
wow.
That's insane to me.
Yeah.
That's the first time I met someone that lived in an entire different continent that knew my catalog and knew who I was. And this is, I think, either Instagram didn't even start or it just started.
So it was like the beginning. Probably more like a Facebook. Because if you were talking about like the 2009 and on, I feel like 2013, 14.
Yeah, like SoundCloud was like the main hub
Yeah.
People were getting their music. I mean, still now, but in this era of music, SoundCloud was like the main hub for you know, the main way that DJs and producers broke in the industry was getting their remixes and songs, you know.
That's dope.
Played out there.
Is there a particular like song that just like resonates with you from your catalog that you're like, this is always gonna be part of me along my journey?
Definitely Tiptoe.
Yeah.
Other known as Sexy Walk. This was one of the biggest Jersey Club songs ever made.
Sure.
You know, big line dance. If you don't know, go to Wiz TV now and look at all the dance videos.
When I was doing artistry, right? Like there's the times of waiting to perform for the night or whatever. And for sure, I've been there when your record's playing, you know.
That feeling?
Yeah. It's people, some people will never understand it, but the euphoria that comes with respect, appreciation, joyfulness when your record is being played or you're performing per se, next level. I feel like it's the closest we get to maybe like heaven on earth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow. I definitely can understand that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just, it even hits different when you make something in your bedroom.
Yeah.
You know, like even with the My House remix, you know, like I made that in my bedroom.
It's dope though.
know,
Like
like-
I feel like when you're in your hub, right? It's kind of like, what do you feel like when are you jumping around the room like you will on your DJ sets? Like, are you?
Oh, the energy is always gonna be. I literally zone out when I'm producing.
That's
you know,
dope.
with DJing, I zone out too. But when you're DJing, you're catering to your audience that's there.
Okay.
Right. So it's like a give and take type of thing. But when producing, I'm literally in full creation mode. Without trying to please somebody.
I like that.
You know?
And
I think it's important for producers to have your production communicate that.
Okay.
Like listen to a record, listen to the production and just be in tune with your feelings. Cause it all comes down to feelings.
Absolutely.
You know, like that record, I might swerve on that corner. Is it Tweaker, Jello? I'm not even a basketball fan. I probably pronounced his name wrong. But when I first heard that record, I didn't know the art. I thought it was just some unknown artist, some random Joe Smo. I saw it on social media, and I just kept playing it over and over. And I'm like, I don't even know if this is like trending or if it's like top 40. I like the record. It's an emotional connection I had with it.
Yeah.
And I have that superpower where I can identify
what's gonna be a hit.
I know it sounds weird,
No, I get it.
I literally have that gift where I can hear something and know, okay, that is special. Like when I first heard Toast, with produced by Washi Fire, Izzy, I was like, yo, this is a positive song.
That's what I noticed, like through synesthesia. Like I always feel like hit records always like, to me, it's more like less of the bass. Because if you imagine like the color scheme, right? Red, yellow, and orange to me is always a hit. And all the hits always have that warmth tonality in it for me.
So you see colors.
I see. I like it's not like vivid in front of my eyes. It's just like in my head. I don't know why. It's like songs have color distinction. You know what I'm saying? So like sometimes like Schoolboy Q to me is like yellow, green, and like the darks and stuff. It's weird. But then like if you play like I don't know, like those Taylor Swift songs, like they hit the radio, it's just like, I don't know, that color scheme is just different. You know what I'm saying? It has a commercialized vibe to it.
Yeah.
So
no, I get it.
Yeah, something like that. So I don't think that's particular that you can pinpoint what a record, especially as a producer. I feel like you know the balance of frequencies that's just gonna translate. And like, you know, it's a gift. Two, it's like it becomes secondhand to you after a while. So I guess with that said, there's never such thing as like a perfect record, right? Yeah, but if you as a producer or a DJ could cultivate a record and put like two artists on it, like what would be the vibe? Like I want to know, what would you put together? Being
anything that's vulnerable.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a specific artist.
Okay.
Just people connect with a record that is truthful.
I agree.
You know, I feel like when it's coming from a genuine place and it's well produced,
Yeah.
it can connect with anybody.
Yeah, I feel like that's why, like, a lot of the time someone like DMX could get out of a situation from being in the hood to, like, you know, emotionally connecting with the crowds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man, I was watching one of his videos the other day of him, like, prepping himself before going on stage, and I'm just like, man, we lost our icon, y'all.
I know. There's only so many that have the balance of lyricism, character in their voice that you know who it is. It's like per se like a Busta Rhymes. I saw that you've been in situations against, you know, some of the greatest. Like I saw, we're gonna get into it. I want to know how you came to be in the midst of people like Diplo, Pharrell, Busta Rhymes. Like,
Wow,
crazy, man. We're definitely
just
gonna
hearing
get
you say it, I'm just like, damn, man. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah. Sometimes
so
you don't know, like it hits you.
like
you know,
I'm be so focused on like
just making,
you know, what's
constantly.
next. I know I'm like, it's like ADHD over here.
No, you're good. You're
in the
good.
middle.
That looks good.
I still can't wait to talk about that journey of my life right now too, about the
Yeah.
videography. But yeah, you were saying?
I was gonna. Oh, so we were saying vulnerability within the record, that like that's what you would cultivate if you were producing a record like that. You know, like for me, like I've had like certain ideas of like I don't know. For an example, like I said, I would have had like Redman and Busta Rhymes on a record and call it Tight as Knots.
Ooh.
So like it was just like beats
Okay.
I've created. So like that's what I was wondering,
Okay,
if you
I see
had a
what you're saying.
specific cultivation in that
Okay.
manner. Because I know like artists, sometimes you're like dreaming like, oh man, like this would have been so dope if I could.
I think because I don't think about making the perfect record.
Yeah. I know it's
I
like a
can't
weird
really think
question.
of anything.
Okay, if
know?
you made a
'Cause-
Jersey club record, but you were to feature, and it's a specific energy, like who would you feature on it, or you made that happen already?
Yeah, again, my mission with this is
Yeah.
to touch as many people as possible.
I respect that.
And as long as I'm touching the people, my job is completed.
That's fire, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it first. DJ Fade, authenticity, sincerity, and energy is the formula.
That's right, man.
Right?
Yeah, let's cut to commercial.
Let's cut to commercial.
Take a break from our sponsors.
Yeah, right. That's fire. So you're building on the body, you're building the career, everything else. How do you, I guess it's part of music, but like where do you get your admiration for fashion? Because I saw
let's
you,
talk about
you do modeling as well.
Yeah,
like,
let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
None of you were one dimensional.
Man, I couldn't wait to get on the platform like this and discuss that journey
Yeah.
because
I see your passion for it.
yeah.
Like there's some people that like they get into it and they're like, oh, look at me. But it's like being a photographer, I can tell like when you position, you're about the whole culture of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I
very
noticed
much
that
so.
within, you know, the pieces that you put out.
Thank you, man. Thank you,
Yeah.
man. So my journey with fashion started when I hit my goal fitness-wise.
Nice.
I got in touch with a photographer and I wanted to do like a before and after. That was always my goal
dope.
going into, it's just funny how I'm like telling this story. I'm like, man, that is how, that's how that started.
Right.
So I reached my goal and I wanted to do a before and after. And I think at this time, I just finished teaching a calisthenics course.
Oh, so you went from doing like you actually accomplished that where you started teaching it.
Yeah, I believe I was teaching a calisthenics course at my university. You know, again, I wanted to change lives and impact people. And I wanted to showcase my work and
For sure.
show people, look, you can do this without weights. Because back then I was just doing push-ups, pull-ups, dips. So calisthenics is...
This saves money too.
Oh, that too. But not only that, like it gave me the opportunity to connect with my community because I would go to parks and, you know, see kids. They look at me like, yo, I want to do that. And, you know, teach them. When you give back, when you put great energy into the universe, it recycles its way back.
I think Redman said it on an interview recently. He said it was like very like holistic in the sense like he went into calisthenics too, and being outside in the fresh air, having discussions with other men in the community. It's more than just working out. It's like, you could go to LA Fitness and get it done, or build a gym in your house. But
it's different. You know, I do love community gyms.
Okay.
You know, I prefer that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was my foundation, you know, connecting with the community. And then I did the photo shoot, came out awesome.
Dope.
Like I couldn't believe my body looked like that when the camera, and I remember when I was shooting, I literally like turned into another character.
That's dope.
It's hard to explain. It's like I immediately identified with who Brandon is, and I was offered the platform to be the most free in the movement, because that's what modeling is. Modeling is movement. Think of it as like ballet. Ballet, there's no restrictions. It's just
no
flexibility. It's movement. And even though I'm not like as flexible as like about you know someone who's in ballet, that was the first time I was on that. Okay, I'm in front of the camera, you know, and it was awesome.
Yeah, people don't realize a lot of the time, like when you do work with a model that understands movement, and it's like a dance between literally the photographer and the model. Oh my God. Like I had one girl, Natalia, and even though she was shorter, the way she moved, like off the charts. Every pose, every shot was just solid. And she gave me something different on each one. So when you do describe that movement, it's like, I don't know what I could compare it to, but I guess it's like working with the
art. It's art. It's really art. And until you do that, you really won't understand, you know, the level what we're talking about, that communication, that nonverbal communication between a photographer and a model, because that's a whole nother science as well.
For sure.
And working with different photographers as well, and with me in the fashion industry, you know, that came organically because, again, I did that one shoot just for like a transformation, but then he got me published in the magazine in like an actual print. That was the first time I've seen.
I could see you in you know, I could definitely see you like Prada, YSL, like that.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Parisian evening.
That's the goal. That's the long-term goal for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I was researching while shooting, I came to understanding that campaigns pay a lot of money. Like 6 digits. I was meeting models that accomplished that.
The models get more than the photographers at times.
Yeah. And I'm like, I can use this to fund my music career.
Absolutely.
You know? Like I have
and still
look,
have fun doing so.
Right.
You know?
I have the look, I have the height. I'm, you know, great on communication. I'm good with networking.
Have you ever done runway?
Oh, I've done almost every runway in New York that's not in the calendar.
That's it.
You know, I think I did, you know, like official New York runway, I think like once or twice.
You know, that helps with the ladies too.
Oh, man.
You're like, I produce records, but I also walk for New York Fashion Week. You're like, come on.
It's awesome.
It's crazy.
It's awesome, right?
It's a great world though. Like,
yeah, it's an industry that, you know, I'm going to say did love because I'm not in it as much.
Yeah.
You know, in that era, it was before COVID.
Yeah,
you know, I was building my book. I remember when I finally finished my book.
Yeah.
When I was in LA, I was doing some, you know, see-throughs. You know, people were walking around with the masks. And I was like, what is going on? Oh, COVID-19. I was like, okay. Went back to Jersey and then everything shut down. So literally as I finished my book and I was going to go see the agents and all of that networking, I just felt like it was just...
I feel like maybe more on a spiritual tip, like before COVID, there was like still this like hopefulness, these transients in the air, and like COVID compressed a lot of that.
Yeah. And then it you know, I had to, you know, re-strategize. You know, everything was, you know, electronically, you know, through
For sure.
social media and the internet. But
you
can't really meet the agent that's going to change your life through the internet. You know, you have to
nothing's going to beat the human experience on that.
Nothing.
What I'm saying?
So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to use this time to focus on music in production.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, because I could do that at home, and I just put all my energy into music.
Have you ever did you feel like that was maybe one of your first larger challenges within the music industry or as a model? What's a situation, I always like to dig on the podcast of what's a challenge that came up in your career that really brought you almost onto the edge of maybe that jadedness we were talking about?
I would say, honestly, COVID. That's the first thing that came to mind because nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew when it was going to be over. We were filled with uncertainty.
Yeah, your income is being out in the nightlife,
right.
You know?
And even though at this time when I met you, was I working at Whole Foods?
No.
Did you know I worked there?
No, I didn't. That's dope though.
I worked there for 4 years.
That's dope.
Yeah, 4 years.
See, I love that vulnerability too because everybody might think oh yeah, you don't have to do this. I'm DJ Fade. It's that's a vulnerability I appreciate.
Yeah,
you know,
I started there pushing carts.
That's dope.
I was pushing the shopping carts.
And you're I'm going to get this organic discount.
I was so obsessed with building my studio and saving the money. I was dead focused onto that.
That's dope.
And in this era, I was really into fashion too. I was coming to work runway type shit.
You know what? Before getting into fashion, I was I knew what I liked from the visual, but I didn't know any of the designer names. It was so frustrating. So we've gotten to the point where, okay, we know that's a Rick Owens piece or whatever. But before I was what is this? And I would type in things like urban, dark, goth, techno, blah. And I'm I keep going down this passage to find it. What's a designer, for sure, they're incredibly expensive, most of them, but is there designers or pieces of fashion that you like to gravitate towards more?
I love Jerry Lorenzo.
Wow.
I think he
incredible.
Puts out perfection.
Yeah.
And when it comes to minimal pieces, you know, that literally conveys what he is speaking to his audience.
Absolutely.
And he puts in a lot of time and effort and builds his team.
Fear of God is the evolution from the first pieces of the long drapery that's that Ye, Rick Owens influence to now he's gotten the collaborations with Zegna and the Italian cuts.
He do his research.
Yeah, man. I'm a huge fan. There's so many pieces from the Sixth collection that I was oh, this is that great medium. We were transitioning into what we know as, the Fear of God Seventh collection, which is again, those Italian cuts are coming into the urban.
Yep.
But the Sixth collection was I wore the pants last podcast. It was called the Workman's Pants, and they had the long straps and
I love
crazy.
the sneakers.
We're gonna behind the scenes. We're gonna have to chop it up on the fashion.
That's a whole another podcast for that. But I would say Fear of God. I have expensive tastes.
No, for sure.
Very expensive.
I always say
taste.
I have a champagne taste on a beer budget.
Yeah, that part. That part. But because I have expensive tastes and with my research in the fashion industry, I learned that, at the end of the day, it's just fabrics.
Yeah.
But
you know what makes it cool too, which I didn't understand until I started entering the fashion world, is that certain designers, whether it's Zegna is a fabric house. So Zegna has provided for Gucci, for Saint Laurent, all that stuff. So people don't realize that people can put certain, I'm trying to find the term in my head right now, but basically they solidify certain mixtures that nobody else can obtain. So if you have 2% rayon and 60% silk, that is only for, again, a Prada or whatever, and they're the ones that put that out only for that season, and that it's once you understand the respect of that it's never coming out again, and you actually own a piece like art,
right?
A lot of these brands are more commercialized, right? They've sold blah, and there's politics behind it, and there's culture problems and all that other stuff. But the ones that really stay true to the art form, exceptional.
Yeah.
Like the Virgil Ablohs, I feel like were truly passionate about creating something that was going to change.
Very much so. I watch his interviews as well.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of interviews. Like people that I look up to is like, you know, Pharrell. Oh my gosh, his interviews, he's so well spoken.
He is.
It's unbelievable.
I had the privilege of becoming good friends with his brother Kato.
Oh wow.
So like that happened 2009-ish. He's like I always describe it as the Rastafarian version of Pharrell. He's a lot more dark skinned. He's got dreads. Kato is completely different than Pharrell. And then they have Solomon, which is the youngest brother. So he has an appreciation for like fashion to a certain degree, but not like Pharrell. Like Pharrell is next level. Understand? How did you meet Pharrell? Did you meet Pharrell?
So no, I haven't met him yet.
Gotcha.
No.
But I saw that you were in the streets of Paris with Diplo. I gotta get into that story.
Yeah, man,
That's crazy.
That's a hell of a story, bro. Like, so I'm trying to think, where was I at? I can't remember where I was at.
I feel like you were like from the videos you posted. It looked like you were close to like Champs-Élysées.
Yeah, and where the tower is.
Yeah. Well, it's like Paris is cut up into arrondissement, which is like sections. So like you were around the 13th, 14th probably.
I think
if
I
you're
remember
closest to like the Tour Eiffel, like you're like that area.
Yeah. But I'm actually referring to when Diplo reached out to me, like where I was at. I
Diplo
remember,
reached out to you.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
that's a dope.
Yo,
like I hate to use the word flex, but that's
greatest
fire.
DJ on the planet right now. Wes, man, I want to say I appreciate you, bro. Like you changed my life.
I only crossed paths with Diplo once. I was shooting for the Met Gala.
Oh wow!
When Migos was performing with Katy Perry.
Okay.
And when I passed his energy, I don't know how to explain it. It's like when you know somebody has been around the world and is well, like they have that worldly wisdom.
Like an aura.
It's an aura, and he had that.
Yes.
That part, it was like he didn't say a word. He was just like, hey, but it was like the energy was like, damn, this guy has stories. He has something.
Yeah, very much so. Like the first time we sort of met was on stage when he was performing with Major Lazer at Terminal 5.
Oh.
And this was like 14 years ago. You know, back then they would pick a guy out of the audience and it would strip him down to his underwear, and the Major Lazer girls would come down and do splits on you and everything. It was crazy.
Like, the drums are crazy, Major Lazer.
Man. Major Lazer are like the best group to me. You know, their ability to bring one genre and cross it into another and bring these worlds together is so unique and rare, you know. And with me being Caribbean, it only makes sense.
No, it's crazy.
You know, with that sound. And I remember just studying him and seeing how he operated his business, how he was able to scale, and to now proudly say that like I worked with him on that project. You know, he was a musical, you know, director for Vogue World Paris. And I remember, you know, his people reached out and then he hit me up directly. And then that started this whole journey of actually getting the remix cleared.
Wow.
Because with licensing, how it works is, especially in foreign markets like Europe, they have to have clearance on, you know, the recording and the master.
Exactly.
And I actually have relationships, you know, with Parkwood and B's team. And, you know, one thing led to another. And with the help of some other individuals, I was able to get that cleared to be used for the show.
Now it's bad. It's in bad taste to cheers with water, but man.
Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, like I literally created history, you know. The people over at Vogue, I mean, they were so helpful and so much, they were available, you know, with anything I needed help with, and, you know, with the proper communication and with the relationships that I've built, with the relationships I've built over the years it helped me achieve that. And I literally booked my ticket, flight, hotel, and everything without confirmation of the song being used.
I call those moments like a smile with your heart moment. Like you're just like overwhelmed with this like
with
joy,
me,
you know?
I was always a man with faith and will continue to be. And I just had that faith and belief that I'm going to make this work. Like,
Absolutely.
I remember watching this interview with Zoe Kravitz she directed the movie called Blink Twice.
Yeah.
It's on streaming platforms. And she did an interview where they were shooting a scene of the girls running towards the house. And it was like this women's empowerment moment. And they wanted some music in the background on set to motivate them.
Gosh.
So they was like, yo, play Beyonce. They're like, we can't afford Beyonce. We're not gonna be able to, get this cleared. But, they played that girl and they tried to replace it with certain songs during the post-production editing process. Nothing was working but that song. And,
sometimes, you just can't
they
skip
tried
that.
and she approved it. So to sit on this podcast today with you and say, I really shared that similar experience that Zoe had with Beyonce is like,
no, it's incredible.
I'm just so grateful for the opportunity.
That's why I want this platform, because it's like because I know that feeling is a lot of the times we don't reside in the accomplishments because we're building legacy. We're continuously on the journey. But like, I feel like if I can be the reminder of, hey, look how far you've come. Yeah. That's like between my brothers, I'm like, yo, man, like you guys are doing it. And,
that's a beautiful story. Like I was always excited to share with the public because this was something that I really kept inside. I wanted to tell the story properly, visually through like I'm doing a mini documentary on myself as well, which is, more sort of like a reflection of what I've done so far, even though my story is still being written.
For sure.
But, I was literally, again, I didn't have a ticket to the show. Like I literally was going to figure it out. And as I'm walking in the streets of Paris, right in front of me is Diplo.
Wow.
And I'm like, yo, what's up, bro? Like,
That's
And then one thing led to another, and I was able to watch it,
firsthand.
in person.
Beautiful.
So yeah, that was definitely one of my biggest accomplishments. And yeah, man, My House Remix, SoundCloud, YouTube, check it out.
What I love about life too is like you don't know what's the next moment like that to come. And I think that's what makes life so interesting.
Yeah.
It's did you actually have any dishes in France while you were there that you might have enjoyed?
Not really, man.
No.
Unfortunately, I was only there for like 2 days.
Okay. Yeah, it goes quickly.
I was so focused.
Did you at least get to have
No,
like
you know what I did have? So
What's
I'm eating dinner after the show. It's me, Anita, Walshy, someone from Anita's team, and Diplo.
Okay.
So we're all eating or whatever, and then Wes is eating escargot.
Yes.
And I didn't even know what that was. So I'm like, oh, it's actually snails. I was like, I ain't trying that. But then he offered it. I'm like,
here goes.
damn, Diplo offered me
Snails.
from in another country. Like, how can I say no?
I'm gonna title this Diplo offer me snails.
And I tried it. It was actually good.
That's dope.
I was surprised. It was like very seasoned. It was warm. And I was like,
you know what it is? It's kind of like with the snails, it's kind of like between the butter, the fresh parsley, and like you said, the seasoning.
Yeah.
A lot of things of what we know, it's the same thing in like Jamaican culture, right? A lot of the survival foods that our ancestors ate, they became like the most pristine dishes, you know what I'm saying? Because like even like, how we make crepes or crepes, I would say like, properly. But it's like, it was made from like buckwheat or flour, and all you did was like mix water at the time. So it was easy to get like by the shores, and it was cheap to, make. It was survival food.
Wow.
So like, but now they're like, again, everything is renowned as like,
Five-star restaurants.
Yeah. So that's dope. That's super dope. I was gonna say, like, I feel like as a Jersey club artist, like the sound, I would say just even as recently, it's been emerging as more popular. And then you have like, you know, people like new artists like an Ice Spice that kind of take the roots of it. You have like the Baltimore club sound, the Jersey club sound, and they've made it their sound, right? Mm-hmm. Do you feel like those artists are doing it justice? Do you feel like there needs to be more implementation of the people that really built it to, you know, like kind of take heed on structuring the vibe more?
So the foundation of a song, to me, in my opinion, is the producer.
Okay.
Not a beat maker. There's a difference. So
for sure.
They are a handful of Jersey club born producers that people need to tap into to get that sound.
Yes.
If you do that, watch what happens.
Okay.
It happened with Just Wanna Rock, Uzi Vert.
That was elegantly said. That was very elegantly said. It's like you didn't put anybody down.
Yeah,
that was a great response.
That's a fact, man. It's been proven.
Yeah.
You know, that song was nominated for Song of the Year for the Grammys.
For sure.
You know, so
I think that's what's nice about Diplo, though. He's always kind of given a platform to the Jersey artists that are creating that sound. You know.
Yeah, he started with Philly Club with Mad Decent.
Yeah.
That's his background. You know,
yeah, he's been to so many different, you know, I mean, especially like Tri-State and stuff like that. He's been around. So went to New Orleans and everything else like that. Do you feel like Jersey Club is going to exist as what it is and just continue to be, or do you see an evolution in Jersey Club music?
I see an evolution because it's being played internationally. Like almost every continent you could think of, like Jersey Club is being played. And I'm hearing the integration of other genres within it, you know, like the My House project actually started with Bally Funk because my friend requested me to do a remix, but a Bally Funk Jersey style. And I posted on YouTube and then I did a Jersey just because I was inspired. And Paris Goebel, Rihanna's choreographer for the Super Bowl, she found that on YouTube.
Nice.
And then that's when Diplo had reached out and the whole conversation began. But I say it to say because of the genre influence and the marriage between the two, it's only gonna grow and cross over to other markets. I think that's just where I see it's going right now.
Nah, super dope. Like, how's your relationship with other Jersey Club producers? Say like someone like a DJ J Hood.
Yeah, very good. I actually booked J Hood for the Jersey Club Party. So I have a brand called a Jersey Club Party where it primarily focuses on club music and educating the audience of the origins, particularly like, you know, Baltimore and Philly, because those are like the origins.
I was gonna say it's like I noticed like there's love within the Jersey Club music genre. You know, I don't feel like there's a lot of beef. It's not like, oh yeah, you know.
Yeah,
like
you know that's gonna happen in every community.
Sure.
I tend to focus on, you know, the positive and you know where my trajectory is going and with my brand.
No, I feel like as an individual, even sitting down with you today, like you really well elevated. Your taste level is way higher than a lot of people. So it's like, I say that in complimentary, man. Like,
I appreciate it.
Like,
man. I'm just a super fan. You know, I'm studying hours and hours at home, music, listening to DJ sets. You know, I think what makes me stand out as a DJ is that I'm so interested in what people like. The wedding, you know, I remember talking to one of the guests, asking him, hey, like, what's your favorite song right now? Oh, it's, you know, Moneybag Yo. I forgot the song at the time. It was like a trap ratchet song. And I played that during the wedding dance and she went crazy. And then that energy, you know, spread out across the room. So it's those key moments and just me asking that question is what would separate me from a DJ just playing what's trending or commercial, you know?
That's super dope. Like, because like it reminds me of like sitting down with you is like I can already feel the energy, the same type that I share with Jules, right? We'll be in the car and be like, yo, you mind listening to this record I produced? And he's like, bro, this is crazy. And like we just feel like kids again.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like that energy feels, there's nothing like it. You're not getting paid for it. Like your day, it could be a cloudy day, but just that energy of feeling like your records can influence or change the world for the better, or just like take somebody out of the like a bad zone. It's amazing. Or just add to the great zone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's what's important. Like phenomenal.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Yeah. So we know, like, again, art imitates life, life imitates art.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to you building also podcast platforms and getting into what we discuss often.
Right, yeah.
Here we go.
Often. Here we go.
Cinematography, videography.
Yes.
Let me ask you about like what's getting you into this journey.
You see the smile right now? I'm not forcing it, y'all.
It's so crazy. It's so like, you know what? It's like even the podcast just started. Like I was talking to Rock Davis, Jersey
legend.
director. Yeah, I was talking, to the other young gentleman from Dominican Republic, and Jesse Terrero reposted.
Wow.
The other day, and like for like film directors, that's big. Like, he did like most of the music videos for Sean Paul, Aventura, like Daddy Yankee.
Legends, yeah.
Legends. So I know this is like a whole, like when you're an artist, you're an artist. I don't even want to label you as just like a Jersey club. Like you're an artist in general, I can tell. So like where's this passion, where's this essence coming from for cinematography?
So, man, like I said, man, this is a whole nother chapter of the podcast. But when it comes to, see, look at me, I'm just making sure I'm like in the middle of the frame.
I like that. He said middle of the frame.
Because, I understand the editing process now. Even me, that's a prime example. You guys are witnessing a live reaction of, someone who has studied another industry, even though, film and music goes hand in hand, it still is a separate entity, like with the color grading and contrast.
But that's why I feel like Ye and Virgil, like when they had that partnership, even creating the album arts to a lot of like Ye's projects, it was an understanding. Like if you understand how cotton can be molded, or back to the rayon, like you're building a larger platform for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like you're living a lifestyle as a model, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna shoot my whole campaign. Or you have the vision for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? It's so much bigger when you have an understanding. Like you become a weapon.
I'm gonna be very transparent with you guys because there's gonna be a lot of upcoming producers and DJs watching this right now. Mm-hmm. I was and still am being frustrated. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie, like it's been very challenging. It's been a learning curve for me because I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to look at different tutorials and understand this science and methodology of it. But I find myself getting a little frustrated because, again, I'm not like a videographer full time. But the full-time videographers, they put out the quality that I'm aiming to achieve. And I don't have the time to spare to really invest into the production quality that I would like all the time. So I find myself getting frustrated and say, oh, I'm just gonna pay somebody to do it, forget it. Because I'm juggling a few different things at one time, and...
But I think this goes back to your just touching the DJ set self as a young child. Like when you first spoke to me, you didn't step with a foot full of ego. It was like
not at all.
You had, again, this vulnerability that man to man I appreciate, where it's like, okay, I'm ready to learn. And it's just like that to me, you become more of a problem than the dude like, yeah, I'm gonna kill it. Like, I don't need you. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the guys
you don't gain anything from that first approach.
You really don't. But unfortunately, it exists. And people always try to like
I stay away from those people.
outsmart you. You know, like
I stay away. That energy is contagious.
It is.
I stay away.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel just like any other chef, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can give you the spices. I can give you, you know, whatever protein, whatever vegetables. We're all going to create it different. And to have the fingerprint on the world the way you do is the beauty in all of it. Whether it's to somebody's standard or nostalgic, like, essence of like, ooh, like this really hits me or it doesn't. That's the beauty in life.
Yeah. And I do want to say this in regards to beauty, you know, even though I have been sort of frustrated with this learning curve, seeing the final product, oh my gosh, it's so rewarding.
Yes.
And there's beauty in sort of learning the knowledge and applying it and seeing how people react to it. You know, I sent that teaser I sent you to the guest. He was like, yo, oh my God.
Right.
And I'm like, this ain't even like the real vision I have in my head. Like this right here, this production, this is like my vision.
Yeah.
You know, this is the upper echelon of like production quality that I want, that I know that's in my head that I want to communicate, right?
But I know like when somebody first sent you something, right, that like probably hit you on that level. I said like a lot of times we're like the students in the field or like it's our first time having a photo shoot. And like when somebody professional hits you with something, it's that excitement is like that energy over. I always say like what you're always exceeding somebody's expectation by default. So don't always like worry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Wow. But also too, like, you know, even the interview I did before this, you know, like I learned from that as well. So I feel like the more you do something, you learn over time. And back again to the upcoming DJs and producers that's watching this, we are now in a state where you need to learn video production. You need to put out more content that than you would normally do, you know, 10 years ago as a DJ. So because of that demand, I'm simply adjusting with the current times. You know, with DJing, you got to be on it. You know, you have to be current.
Yes.
That's the main word. Be current and see what is working and what the algorithm desires, because the algorithm's the audience.
Jules told me that you guys have this reoccurring joke that like if I hit up you guys, you're like, your wallets better be ready. And it's true because it's
That's
like,
a fact.
It's true because it's one of those situations. What I learned is that you can fall into the game of prosumerism versus buying a tool that will lead the way for years to come, right? So that $4,000 camera, that $10,000 camera might pay itself off in the next 6 years. And it's certain things that you need, right? Like I told Jules, like in the nightlife, it's ambiance, it's lighting that you don't want to change, like that you want to capture the essence of the nightclub. So that's why I gravitated to telling you guys to get like an FX3 because now you have top quality and you don't have to add lighting. You have a camera that can shoot basically in the dark and still capture your professional lifestyle to a certain degree.
Right.
That like, okay, now if we're putting it to tape 5 years from now in documentaries and stuff like that, it's official. Sometimes the grittiness is like what people go for too. So that's why like these sensors are so clean. Like even when you guys see this podcast, you see so many details that you're like, oh, like even the people with the most perfect skin, you're like, damn, like I can see pores. But it's like, that's why sometimes we put vintage lenses in front of modern sensors to kind of cut the sharpness.
The sharpness, yep.
And stuff like that. So little tidbits like that.
So
over
you
time.
said the FX3?
Yeah, the FX3 by Sony, like it's just one of those cameras, you know, they shot the creator on it. So for sure they put like, you know, anamorphic lenses that are like 18 grand a piece on it, but then they threw that on a Ronin. But the beauty of it is they spent more of the budget like in Thailand. So they were shooting in fields where they like maybe had like one large source light, but they were able to boost the ISO to like it's 128,000 and still have a clean, non-noisy image.
Wow.
So things like that are just like tidbits that you learn along the way of like, this is the best tool for this situation.
And how much is the FX3?
FX3, I think it's like around 4,000 now, just the body alone, but you can find it used. And then, you know.
My wallet.
Damn.
Heard a little bit.
No, it's true though. It's true though. Like it's a big hit in the beginning, but when you break it down over the years that you utilize and what it's able to do for you, you're like, oh man, that's beautiful.
Yeah. No, I'm a firm believer in investing in yourself. You know, I bought 2 DJI Osmo Pocket 3s with the anamorphic lens, with the filters, with the tripods, with the lights, with the rim light, with the Titan and tube lights and, you know, all of that. And I'm still not even halfway of what I really need.
Yeah.
And the reason why I do this, because I say to myself, I have everything I need.
Yeah.
I have my resources. I don't need anything else.
Yeah. That's why I say your energy of what you're that love that you're putting into your video already, like you saying, your guess is like flabbergasted by like the outcome.
Yeah.
That's what matters at the end of the day.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So
wow. Very well said. Yeah, man. But no, this journey has been, you know, highs and lows, but I would say mostly high, because one of my goals when I started DJing was to always get into storytelling. And the best storytelling for me is with video, man.
For sure.
With video, it doesn't even have to be with audio. You know, it could just be the images and the lighting and just how the mood is set.
Yeah.
And with me, like I said, my journey, my goal is to just touch people, and whether that's through different mediums, through music or video, I want to do it.
And I know you're capable of it. You know, I said like real recognize real at the end of the day. And I can tell you have this essence about you. Something like I said, I see it within myself. I see it with other people that I appreciate and look up to. So like you having this formula per se, it takes you the distance. So is there anything else that you would like to say, like before we wrap this up? Like, is there any, you seem like you carry a wisdom with you as well, that like something to say to your younger self or somebody that's on this journey of trying to become a producer, trying to get into video or anything else, like modeling even?
I would say just love what you do. You know, if you don't love it, it's going to show. You know, Pharrell said in one of these interviews, he said, you know, imagine if everybody from like a carpenter or someone who's a handyman, like if they loved what they do, imagine how better the world would be.
Absolutely.
You know, and I feel like no matter what it is, if you love that something, do it. And even if you can't find a way to make a means to it financially, just being surrounded by that field, the energy is
It'll
infectious.
attract itself,
Yes, and you will be happy. So I just want people to just do what you love and follow your heart at all times.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very well said. I mean, once again, man, thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you. First of many, y'all.
First of many. I love that. Yeah. No, we're definitely going to do this again. Because I feel like there's so many things we could touch upon, but for the viewers that, you know, might appreciate and love what you do, like I wanted you here for that reason.
Wow.
And, you know.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yes.
A guy right here, man.
Once again, this has been the Shay Parlay Podcast with DJ Fade the Future. Tune in, like, subscribe. We got so many great people coming onto this podcast. You can see their journeys, their vulnerabilities, their triumphs, their failures, and you can take what you want from this and make it your own. Once again, enjoy your evening, and we'll talk to you guys soon.